One of the things that we get some questions about at the Stennis Institute is how to start a business retention program if you're a local chamber of commerce or a local economic development agency. So the first thing to do is obviously to understand your local economy. Where does the money come from that comes into your local economy, and where's the leakage out of your local economy? And then after you do that, then you want to identify the primary employers in your local economy. And one way that I explain what a primary employer is, a primary employer is someone or some company that brings in money from outside your local economy into the local economy. That's in comparison to a secondary employer, which exists to provide services to primary employers and residents of the community, such as restaurants and things like that. Now, the way you start a business retention task force, of course, is that once you've identified those primary employers, you want to have a visitation program. You want to start a business retention task force. And this task force does these things. They visit the local employers, they survey the local employers, and then they respond quickly to any red flags that might pop up. And I've seen some interesting local programs. Sometimes, believe it or not, national employers don't tell their local branches about things that are going to happen. Indeed, sometimes there are closures and the local office is the last to know. But by staying in touch with the local office, you get a heads up on what's happening, not only with that company, but if it's an out-of-state company, what's happening nationally and that sort of things. You know, we get a lot of attention with incentives that are given to companies to move into a community. And sometimes local employers feel like, what about us? Who's looking after our interest? So it's really important to have a business retention task force if you're a chamber of commerce or an economic development agency. Then you want to stay in touch with those employers, and there are two primary ways to do that. One is monthly newsletters or reports, and then the second thing is an annual meeting. I recall in one community that I visited not long ago, they had a meeting of all the manufacturers in that community every single month. And it was a breakfast meeting, and the manufacturers would just went around the table and told what was going on in their industry and how things were going at their shop, so to speak. And it was very, very interesting, and it's a way for them to keep up with what's going on with all those manufacturers, but it's also a way to keep up with what's going on kind of outside the community as well, because most manufacturers are plugged in, nationally and even internationally. And then another thing to do is involve local businesses in recruiting new businesses. Some of the most successful programs I've seen, when there are site visits to a community, they take them to local businesses, and you have local business people who are ready, willing, and able to talk about their business as well as the local economy. And you don't need to have this as some staged event, but you need to have the local business person briefed on the local economy and their business. And as I said, the key to all of this is communication. And there's one thing about communication that I always say, and that is the message that is sent is never the message that is received. So you've got to constantly work at communication. So really those are the key elements of setting up a business retention task force at the local level.